If you haven't heard already, Daniel KAELIN has moved up to a 4-star by 247, which gave him an overall 4-star in his overall rankings. And I expect On3 and ESPN Rivals to move him up too. And I want to say that I created a video over a month ago, right before Daniel KAELIN committed to the Huskers. It was right after Raiola committed to Georgia and Daniel KAELIN decommitted from Missouri. I created a video stating how Daniel KAELIN decommitted from Missouri and to me was headed now to the Huskers. It just made sense just because of the timing. And the reason why I created that video, because there was 2 quarterbacks I really liked, and Dylan Raiola was the #1 quarterback. He's #1 quarterback by a big margin over everyone else, not just Daniel KAELIN. But my second choice was Daniel KAELIN, and not because he was from Nebraska, but like I said, I got to see this kid in person last year in his junior year. And his numbers were very impressive. And he had 36 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions. But what really caught my eye was, one, when we did the football IQ with him, I've never seen numbers so high for such a young high school player, and especially at quarterback. You have to see it to believe it. And for it to be a high school player that was in his junior year, I'm like, this kid's going to be awesome. He knows what he's looking for. He knows how to dice a defense. And what's he going to do when he gets development? And then on top of that, you get to watch his demeanor there. And he's a cool, calm kid. If a lot of you got to see Tom Osborne when he coached, you could jump into a middle of the game and they could be showing a picture of Tom Osborne, and you couldn't tell by his expression if they were winning by 50 or if they were losing by 50. He just didn't let things bother him much. And I kind of see Daniel KAELIN that way. When you saw Daniel KAELIN and his demeanor, he could have just thrown two picks, and if you walked up to him and didn't know what was happening, you would have had no idea how the game was going. You would not have known if he was winning or if he was losing, if he just threw his 5th touchdown pass or if he just threw his 3rd interception. You wouldn't be able to tell. He has this nagging ability to brush things off like, okay, that was one play. And for a quarterback, to me, in my evaluation, them two are just as important, if not more important, than how strong is your arm or how accurate his arm. And he has a very strong arm, and he's pretty accurate with his arm. So I'm not saying them are not good. It's just his football IQ and his demeanor are just superb. And that is the ingredients of a great quarterback in the making. So I did a video over a month ago talking about how I said Daniel KAELIN was better than you think. Because when Dylan Raiola decommitted, Daniel was still committed to Missouri. So I did a video stating that Dylan Raiola committed to Georgia and there really wasn't any other choices remaining. And I thought Nebraska probably should have just go ahead and saved that scholarship for the 2025 season. And because there really wasn't one, you just didn't want to go out and grab any quarterback at that time because there really wasn't one available at that time that the Huskers had a good chance of getting, because at that time Daniel KAELIN was committed to Missouri. Then a day or two later, Daniel decommitted from Missouri, and I kind of got excited because I go, oh, that has to be because he's headed to Nebraska. Why else be committed to Missouri for 2 or 3 months, and then the same week Dylan Raiola commits to Georgia, you decommit from your team at Missouri? So that's when I did the video, because I was excited by this one because Daniel was the one player I was really wanting. You wanted Dylan Raiola, but what I was trying to say is Dylan Raiola is above everybody else, and by a long shot, and he probably should be considering what he's done to get where he's at. Daniel hasn't had that. He hasn't played quarterback that long. So he's still young in his development. And look what he's done. Just look what he's done his 1 year of starting in high school as a junior. And now he's about to go in a senior year. And now we have the recruiting sites that actually, like I said in my video over a month ago, they're going to see how good this kid is. And I said that. I said, this kid's a lot better than you think. And I guarantee you in time, these sites are going to see that. So to me, he was better than a 3-star. I had him at a 4-star in my rankings. And I feel like, and I said in that video that I feel like these sites are going to see this. And I thought it might even be during his senior year, because at that time, we didn't know who made the Elite 11. And at that time, Daniel hadn't made the Elite 11. It was probably a couple weeks after that video when they announced Daniel KAELIN made the Elite 11. Then he goes down to the Elite 11 and not only impresses, but makes the final Elite 11 on the final roster. And so I think that right there woke up the sites a little early, and now they're making him a 4-star, which I think they would have made him a 4-star after his senior year, senior season anyway. But if you get a chance, watch that video that I made a month ago where I stated, and that's what it was called, that quarterback Daniel KAELIN is a lot better than people think. And so I'll put a link in the description below if you want to watch that video. But it's amazing how I took a lot of flack. I had a lot of flack saying I was just jumping on the bandwagon. I'm only saying it because he went to Nebraska. I was only saying it because he's from Nebraska. And I said, no, I experienced this kid over a year ago. And I said I was impressed with him then. I was impressed with 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Raiola for sure, and I was hoping that Dylan would come here because, Dominic, his father, came here, so I was hoping for the best. But then KAELIN, and I'm sitting here going, had nothing to do with KAELIN happening to be a Nebraska kid or went to Bellevue West. You have to watch this kid play. Watch his film. That's all it takes. And then on top of that, go look at his football IQ, his results. And then when you get to talk to this young man and meet this young man, his demeanor, things that don't shake him, things that he just could just blow off like, it was just one play, I threw a pick, oh well. You cannot teach that. That's not a development thing that you could teach. And so now he's got the 2 things you need for a quarterback. So think about it. He has the football IQ, check, because you can't teach that. He has the demeanor where it doesn't bother him when something goes wrong, and you definitely need that as a quarterback, check. Then he has the size. He's 6'3", 6'4". So all it needs is, the only thing left is what can be developed, what Rule and Satterfield can develop. So I think by the end of his college career, he's going to be an NFL prospect. I don't know if he's going to go top 5, but he's going to be, wouldn't be surprised if he's a low first rounder, second rounder. Really depends on his development. How long does he stay? But I expect him coming in here in 2024. I expect him, if Sims stays one more year, to be probably right behind Sims. But I expect him to definitely be the starter come 2025. And if you get a chance, watch that video that I created over a month ago, that Daniel KAELIN is better than when you think. And I'll put that link in the description below. So get a chance to watch that. But it's funny how I took flack from everybody saying I was jumping on the bandwagon, and had sites stating that, oh, he's not a big deal. They only grabbed him because he's Nebraska. And some of them Nebraska channels were doing the same thing. And then all of a sudden he does well in the Elite 11, and now they're all on board. So I just wanted to get on here and say, this is what I was talking about. And I don't know everything, and yes, I miss things just like everybody else. That's why I said you got to take these recruiting sites with a grain of salt. You might get your elite players like Dylan Raiola or Williams and Winari. When they're that elite, then you almost guarantee, yeah, he's a 5-star, he's going to go do well. Doesn't take a rocket science. But when you start now getting into the 4-star, 3-star, 2, it's a crapshoot. It's a judgment call. And most of these sites that are given a ranking to these players are media, are journalists. They don't play football. They're not coaches. So that's the reason why Matt Rule does his own evaluations. When he gets down to these players that are not ranked or ranked in these sites at 2 stars or 3 stars or even 4, he does his own camps and does his own evaluations, and he trusts his evaluations over any of these sites. And we're no different. So we have our predictions of what we've seen and in our experiences. And as time goes on, like everything else, you get better at judging. You get better at seeing what you need to see. And I've done this a long time, and I've done a YouTube channel on it, but I've been doing this for over 30, 40 years. So I was impressed from the beginning of Daniel KAELIN, and I'm just excited to see where he's going. And I'm excited that he's at Nebraska, because Nebraska usually doesn't get this kind of quarterback, even if they did come out of Nebraska. I mean, look where Dylan Raiola went. So it's good to see this. And again, I'm glad to see now these sites are seeing the light and seeing that this kid's better than they actually thought he was. So again, thank you for jumping on, and thank you for your support. Go Big Red.